Hi, thank you guys for joining our webinar today. Just give us a quick minute. We'll wait for a few people to come in and we will get started. Okay. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm just going to give this one more minute in case anybody else wants to come in, and we are going to get going. So today we're going to kind of cover a couple of different things for you guys. We're going to start off by talking about kind of Q3 and what went down there really quickly. We'll have more details for you guys in a Q3 recap blog post as well. And then we're going to jump right into Q4 and what we can do to have a successful holiday. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Let me just get this in present mode. Okay. Okay, and we are good to go. So just to kind of give you guys a really quick recap on Q3, we saw a little bit of change from the first half of the year and definitely a big change from what we saw last year. So, a couple of highlights that I want to point out to you guys. Dresses is back on top. For a while there, we were really focusing on tops and people were really loving buying t-shirts and blouses and things for Zooms, but now people are back to buying dresses and other things. If you look at the difference between traffic and revenue, it's really interesting. From a traffic standpoint, people are really interested in home and gifts and girls and kids stuff. But from a buying standpoint, they're buying tops. So that can mean kind of one or two things. They're just kind of browsing, getting ready for gifting, getting ready for holiday. Two, it could also mean that they're looking for something we don't have. So if you have home and gift stuff, if you have girls stuff for, kids, definitely make sure you get it up online. When it comes to girls, it's clothing that they're looking for right now, but definitely going to start looking for toys and holiday gifting as well in that category. Kind of going over to lookbooks. Those kind of are pretty much really what we were expecting. Weddings were really big this fall, especially with COVID kind of opening up in some cities. So people were back out, people were having weddings. They were super excited about it. So we definitely saw a lot of people buying outfits to wear to a wedding, outfits to wear to bridal showers, baby showers, all that kind of stuff. Fall arrivals was really popular for us. And kind of some colors were really popular. People are really liking pops of color, whether that be pink or blue or red. They're really gravitating towards the different colors that we're kind of throwing out towards them. And then from a brand perspective, Doe and Bee has continued to hold strong. They were actually our strongest one in Q2 as well, if you guys remember that recap. And they're strong from a traffic and a revenue perspective. Their price point is low. Their designs are pretty simplistic. I think they had a lot of great sweaters for fall, and that's really where we saw a lot of the traffic going towards. La Miel is one that has been poking up over the first half of the year. Was not around last year, but is around now. It's a lower price point, kind of fast fashion brand, but seems to be doing really well with younger people. And then some of these other ones are, commonly on here. TCEC is always on here from a traffic standpoint. She and Sky as well. And then from a revenue standpoint, Hem and Thread has always been a really strong one for us. Venti 6 has been teetering around the top of traffic and revenue for the last year. So a little bit of a higher price point than the other ones, but definitely worth checking out. And it attracts a slightly older lady. So if you're with an older shopper, it's a great brand to take a look at. Going into demographic stuff, just really quickly for Q3, we didn't see much of a shift in a lot of this stuff, especially the states, the location information has stayed pretty strong. So California, Texas, New York have always been our top three. Makes sense. They're the biggest states. What that means is with California and Texas being the top two, looking for slightly warmer clothing. So not as much, they're definitely going to have sweaters and layering pieces, but they're not going to have that cold winter that New York has. So they're not going to be buying quite as thick of styles, not as much winter coats. So kind of keep that in mind as you're uploading and prioritizing. Really, really interesting fact here is the device fact. And I think this is applicable both to Shoptiques and your own websites. So mobile is now 65% of our traffic. We've slowly been watching this climb every single quarter that we've done this. But not only is it 65% of our traffic, it's also become the majority of our revenue. So majority of our shoppers are now shopping on mobile. They're definitely mobile first. We will be putting out our web redesign for Q4, which will be mobile first. So if you guys have your own websites and you're not thinking mobile first, it's definitely something to start thinking about and get in mind. It's definitely where the shoppers are, younger generations, that's where they're shopping from. So definitely keep an eye on that. And you'll see that as well in our age of our users is starting to shift younger and younger. So in the past, we've always had it be kind of 55 to 65 was great. 35 to 50 was our biggest spender. Now we're seeing that younger population show up and start shopping. I will note that this chart is based on traffic. So when you look at it from a revenue standpoint, it's a little bit different when you look at it from a revenue standpoint, but it is still kind of that older woman that's buying, but that younger woman is there and she's browsing and she's shopping. And we definitely want to make sure we're showing up for her. And that's kind of apparent in the brands that are starting to become more popular from a traffic standpoint. But the older woman is still buying, which is why you're seeing like the Venti 6 and the hem and thread represent the majority of the revenue. Okay, so that was kind of a quick snapshot back on Q3. We do have like a more detailed full blog post that you guys will be sharing with you guys all. You can check out and learn some more. And of course, if you have any questions, I'm always here to chat about your specific store and your specific brands. But really what we want to focus today on is Q4. So I really want to kind of do a quick flashback of Q4. And then we also have Christine here with us, who is amazing and works with many, many boutiques on helping them with their inventory and merchandising and getting ready for holiday and beyond, making sure that they have just the right assortment in store and tech in store. And we're going to kind of get to ask her some questions and get some feedback. So in order to set the tone for that conversation, let's take a look at what happened last year and what we're anticipating this year. So should be no shocks whatsoever that dresses is the number one category. From a traffic standpoint, people love dresses come holiday. However, if you remember last year, we were deep in COVID. So from a revenue standpoint, dresses did fall. It was really tops and sweaters and comfy clothes and lounge that people were buying. We definitely don't anticipate that to be the same this year. We think people are back to their normal purchasing patterns. We're seeing a lot of interest in dresses, in home and gifts. We're going to see people buying sparkly and fancy and going out, maybe having New Year's parties. We're not really sure, but it's looking positive. So I definitely don't think it's going to be all lounge. There'll be some lounge because obviously people love comfy clothes around the holidays, slippers, pajamas. Who doesn't love that stuff? But I don't think we'll see the revenue trends be the same as they were last year, where it was top sweaters, dresses. I do anticipate dresses will come in at number one, followed very closely by home and gifts. We're really seeing a lot of people interested in that for holiday gifting. And when I say home and gifts, just to kind of narrow that down for y'all, kind of more like really nice throw pillows and throws for the couch and cozy blankets and, cute candles, beautiful candles that you can gift, and even picture frames that they can hang around, kind of small gifting home, but pretty, not like gimmicky, Christmassy pillows necessarily, more like actual like pillows that you would keep on your couch all year round. Lookbook traffic wise, last year, again, this cozy meter, athleisure, all that stuff was kind of part of COVID. I would say much more COVID driven than actual holiday normal shopping. But we did see some other trends become really popular, including kind of fall fringe trends, open back tops. We had a lot of holiday bestsellers, which were dresses and some sparkle and bright colors. So I do think we'll see more of that this season, more shiny stuff, more home stuff, and a little bit less of the cozy meter, athleisure, home lounge, that kind of stuff that we saw last season. So definitely keep that in mind. I'm not to say that nobody will buy lounge and you shouldn't have lounge online, but just kind of what we're anticipating here. From a brand perspective, this first brand called Mad Rag is always our number one for traffic. I don't know why. It's a very low fast fashion brand. It doesn't even sell on Shoptiques. Like, we don't carry it. It's not on there. It just drives a lot of SEO to the site. Mostly like kind of club wear, going out wear. So that's kind of what that represents, is that's what the people, and it's mostly young shoppers. That's the majority of our young customers are coming in looking for that kind of stuff. Think of like Shine, if you know that site, or like, really, I'm talking like really clubby low end stuff. So, if you have going out stuff, that's basically how you can translate that to what they're looking for. But from a revenue perspective, Frank Lyman was our number one last holiday. And I think it was predominantly because it wasn't all lounge, and it's, nicer outfits, people that wanted to go out, kind of geared towards an older shopper, great quality, and it's a good giftable. Because it is, very consistent in their sizing, very loved by a certain population. So definitely a good one to kind of look at. You'll notice that most of the brands from revenue are the not higher end, but older brands, Hem and Thread, Charlie B, Venti 6. Those are all kind of geared towards a slightly older shopper. I'm not saying like super old. I'm just saying slightly older, a little bit more conservative, a little bit more flowy. I think we'll still see a lot of those brands this year, but we will have intermixed a lot more younger brands as well. I anticipate Doe and B will continue to be strong through the holiday, and a few other ones that we're seeing like La Miel. There's one called Aka. I don't know if I say that right, AKAA, that has been doing really strong through fall. I don't know what their winter line was, so I don't know how much people bought that for winter. But some of those LA fashion brands are really coming out, and I think it's primarily they have a lot of the satin and the shiny fabric and bright colors or copper warm tones, things that are really like appealing right now for fall. And we're seeing that sell really well. Some other brands that carry that same kind of style, but higher end, you have Amanda Uprichard, you have, Ula Johnson, you have some of these other higher end brands as well that you can turn to for the same style, but higher quality, higher price point, just depending on who your shopper is. So now that and then just demographic wise, again, not that much of a difference. I think, what was really interesting last year for holiday, California was still number one. Always number one, the big state, but Virginia came out pretty strong, which was really interesting. They're very rarely in our top 5, but they were last holiday. Really represented a big chunk. Looking at the numbers and the data that I have, some of our boutiques in Virginia have higher price points. So from a revenue perspective, it makes sense that it was higher because they spent more on products. So, but just kind of two very different demographics. I anticipate this year, it'll probably be California, New York at the top, but we'll see. And then you'll notice from the devices last year, mobile was less than desktop. I promise you this year, that will not be true. It is totally flipped. It's totally different. So we are going to be very, very mobile forward, thinking only about mobile this holiday and how we can push traffic there, push notifications, anything we can do from a marketing perspective to get shopper shopping. Demographic wise, 25 to 34 is still out. But again, this is traffic based. Revenue based was really the 35 to 55 demographic that was spending the most, which is always true for us. But we don't want to ignore that young browser because she's important. And as she ages, we want to make sure that she's buying more and more. So with that, we are, I did mention that we have our merchandising blog post. We'll send it out after this as well, but this QR code will help you get there for more details on everything. And I want to kind of shift gears now to talk a little bit more about holiday and what we can do going into the new year and how we can set ourselves up for success. So I'm going to go ahead and start that conversation now. one quick thing before we jump into that is I have been asked a ton over the last week, how do I get featured for holiday? What do you guys want? What can I have? Number one thing you can do for holiday for me is those holiday videos. Please, please, please. It's not too late to submit. I will accept late submittance. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please reach out to me. But that's the number one way to get spotlighted on our homepage and a special section on the website and all of our social media. So that's, super important to do. Number two thing that you can do for us for holiday is get your products online. We're looking for, you heard me talk about home and gifts. You heard me talk about Sparkle. You heard me talk about, all these different things. Get your items online. Majority of our marketing in November, just like every November, is going to be holiday, gifting and gift guides and what to wear to family gatherings and what to wear here and there and Thanksgiving. So holiday is coming early. Shipping is terrible. Everything's going to happen really early. So November is our big push for holiday, and you want to be a part of it. So that being said, I would love to go ahead and start the conversation here with Christine. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure.
And, I think one of the things that you and I talked about when we first discussed kind of meeting was just how to, make the most of what you have now. So obviously I talked about what I'm looking for Q4 from a marketing perspective. But most boutiques have already bought all their stuff, so they can't go out and buy for what I'm looking for. So how do they make the most of what they have in their store and make it work for us?
Well, Lindsay, I want to thank you and the Shoptiques team for including me on this. You have a great product. My name is Christine Russo. I worked in retail for many years, and now I'm a consultant for retailers with a specific slant and passion for independent retail. So anything that I can do and say to help maintain those businesses and help them grow and compete as retail changes is fabulous. And this is one of those ways. Well, let's work backwards. Sell what you have. I mean, it's pretty simple. So if I were on this call as a boutique owner, having heard what you just said, looking at that information, immediately pull out your on order. Very important. I don't know if people are keeping on orders, but if you're not, you should. But if you're not, okay, pull out all your POs, pull out all your commitments, and do a quick check, whether it's handwritten or you have someone on the team throw it in Excel to say, what did I order? Because sometimes we get to an important point in a retail flow like holiday and go, I don't even know what's coming. So let's take a second. Let's say, what is coming? One, figure it out. Handwritten is fine. Doesn't have to be fancy, but knowing what's supposed to come is really important. Then once you take that list, you go, oh, well, this came, this was short shipped, whatever. So that supply chain issue that we're hearing about everywhere is for sure affecting even the smallest businesses. And so what did you order? What has arrived? And then look at what's in between, what doesn't have information next to it, and call all of those vendors and go, when am I getting this? And then ascertain if they're telling you the truth, if they're being really transparent. I'm not saying people lie, but there's a couple of factors at work. Most importantly, they actually don't know. The supply chain situation is so convoluted right now that nobody has really any visibility. So they don't know, but you might as well ask. And then you have to start to say, I think they know. That sounds pretty real. And I would take different color highlighters and go, yeah, this is coming. This probably isn't coming. This is like a maybe. Use 3 colors, then take all of that and look like, oh no, my shelves are going to be empty. Oh no, my shelves are fine. Oh yay, my shelves are fine. Okay, so that's like kind of like definitely go backwards to kind of ascertain where you are. So now you've put out a request. I mean, you offer such a great service to promote product for people, right? Get that word out. So the reason why you looked backward to see what's on order and what's coming is because you do not want to send to you something that might not show. Big no-no. You don't want to stock out. So you want to ascertain what's definitely coming. And a big tip and secret is look inside your store. Bird in hand. supply chain is super broken. They may tell you it's coming. Maybe it's not. So try to use your current inventory, which stores may be like, well, why should I check what's coming? Because good stuff may be on the way, and you really kind of want to have a very 30,000 foot view. So with that in mind, you very clearly laid out what you want. So that's the place you start. Do I have good stuff? Do I have enough? Do I have broken categories of it, like 2 of them? I don't know. Don't pass that along then. Don't be in a stock out position. And then after you check all the requested stuff from you to them, as a store owner, you go, all right, well, what do I have a lot of? What did I believe in? Because if you have a lot of it, in theory, you believed in it. And that's a good thing. It's amazing to believe in something. Let's talk about that for a second. I'm going to switch conversations. So when you believe in something, that's why people go into retail. They are curators. They are artists. They are painting their store, whether it's e-com or in-store, with their vision. So they believe in it and they brought it in, and it's here because they believed in it from a creative standpoint. And then maybe at the same time, or a little bit higher priority or slightly less, and I know my customers want this, right? So it depends on the store. It depends on the owner. Some owners are true stylists. People come to them, I don't know, you tell me. And they have free say, I love this and it'll look great on you. So that's how they bought for their store. That's how their whole store psyche is set up. Some stores are set up, I have to follow the trends. My client wants me as a resource for the stuff that they like. They're the curator. It's like a little bit of a reverse. So that's usually a different mindset and a different way to buy. I will introduce this. Either way is right. Either way is what the passion and art of retail is. But we're really at the point now where you have to use data to make decisions. I hate that, right? I hate math. I get it. Truly successful sell-throughs and margins come when there's a layer of data and analytics over a buying strategy, right? So that's kind of like another recommendation. So let's go back to you saying, this is what we want. Well, guess what? I looked at my data and I bought into this because I know that works really well for me. So I'm going to pass that on because I have supporting numbers for that. So data can really be a real crutch to help decisions. I'll pause there. That's a lot.
Yeah, no, I think you touched on a lot of really important things, but one of the things that I think I'm hearing from a lot of my boutique owners, and I'm curious if you're hearing the same, is, yes, they ordered, and a lot of them, I think, over ordered, anticipating things not shipping or things shipping super late. And I'm curious how your stores are combating that late shipment. So you order something that's supposed to be in October, it shows up in November. Well, that season's so different than October. What do you do now?
Most people are having an incredible season, and their sell-throughs are huge, and they're taking it. Yeah. They're just getting really strong business. Now, by category, month to month, October to November is not that different. So, and the best way to handle it, if you're not blowing out of your stuff, and if it is fundamentally different and you have those conditions, is to communicate. The brands expect it, right? Can I take half of this? Can I skip it? And that's where it comes down to, hopefully you've been an amazing client. If you are a slow payer, there's no reason why they would want to work with you or accommodate you. But the business of retail, the first is the art of retail. And the second thing, probably the first thing, but we're touching on it now, retail is relationships. And it is not at all just from shopkeep to client. It is an entire ecosystem of relationships. If you're nice, if you're professional, then you can absolutely ask, can I skip this? It's so late. And then because there's a relationship, a good one there, you don't know unless you ask. And a lot of brands are like, I know, it's okay. we'll skip it.
And what are you recommending for people that maybe don't have enough coming in? You know, it's kind of late. It's hard to get inventory right now. What are our options?
Roll up those sleeves, man. There are places. Let's just back up on the third most important thing as a retailer. Gosh, I love how you've prompted these, what I call fundamentals. Third fundamental. The third fundamental is, again, shift the narrative. If you think your only reason to exist is to ABC, as they call it, always be closing, meaning always selling to your customer, you are dead wrong. Your job is ABS, always be sourcing. You would not be in this position if you spent every day, half a day, an hour a day, commitment of 5 hours a week, finding new product. Boy, is that hard to do. It's one of those things, yeah, I'll get to it. Oh my gosh, I can't. Somebody quit, I've got to work the floor. It is like the first thing to go. It's like the dentist, like, oh, I'll go later. But guess what? You are a place place. You have to have stuff to sell. And if you're a multi-brand place of commerce, you always have to hedge against someone going out of business, someone getting negative press, then you drop them. Someone dropping you because of distribution. Oh, we're selling a bigger store. Oh, we signed on Bloomingdale's. We can't sell independents anymore. Never be in that position. So that's a fundamental, but it doesn't address the question of what happens right now. There's product out there. I know because I have a wholesale business that sells immediates, not a plug for that, but that's my job. My role in the ecosystem is to be able to say to stores, I got you. We can ship. And for me, immediates is anything under 6 weeks. So most of my stuff can ship same day. But the bottom line is, like, be on the lookout for that. And sometimes it means leaving the store. Sometimes it means going to those LA places, which are over and hard to navigate. It's a real grind, and it is real boots on the ground. It is constant sourcing. But you know what? It's fun. When you find something you think your clients will want and they are up and coming and they have stock, it's fun. And my last point is, it differentiates you from the 87,000 other retailers that are carrying all the same things. So what percentage of your inventory are you saying, I'm different? You know, it's a tough decision-making process. So it's like, I have to have what people want. Okay. And then you're locked in on price. You have to sell it for the same price. You can't mark it down. You're not different. You're different by customer service. That's really your differentiator. But what percentage of your total buy at all times is completely different / experimental? Used to be a bigger percentage, but the risk factor of bringing in unknowns has become unfavorable by most businesses. I would caution that, you know, like anything in life, no risk, no growth.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say, I mean, one of the things that I'm seeing is when you find something that you love and you think it's great and you think it's going to be a big seller, you have to kind of put that order in right away, because there's so many other people out there trying to get last minute inventory. And from what I'm hearing, reordering is almost next to impossible. So if something sells through right away, you can't get more stock of that. So, you know, I mean, I feel like it's a really delicate line to dance, but how do you know when you're testing something new or trying something new, how much should you really be buying? And what's that healthy balance between, you know, making sure you have enough, but not having too much?
Don't worry about that. Set yourself up in a scarcity model. One of my immediate brands, it's like, it's gone. Sorry. You didn't commit, or you didn't pay your invoice in 24 hours. Someone else grabbed it. Scarcity model is A-okay. Take a look at TJ Maxx. They have two things going for them. One is the treasure hunt. Oh my God, I found this. What? So the dwell time in a store, the unknown, right? Less of, you don't see full size runs of everything. I mean, in some cases you do, but let's say you shop the runway section. You're like, oh my God, I found this one dress from whatever brand. That's so cool. It's my size. Amazing. I'm going to hunt for that. So I'm not recommending that. I'm just laying out what TJ Maxx has going for them. So that's one thing. That's the treasure hunt. But what they also have is the scarcity, which works. I see it work with stores like this, which is, I'm sorry, my best client, you didn't reserve it. You didn't grab it. I sold it. It's gone. But great news. I have something new coming back. What I've done with this brand that operates like this and kind of fell into it, we all did. It was like, whoa, this is working, is it increases your amount of visits. So there's a whole narrative from like back in the day when retail was kind of pre-retail apocalypse, which was 2017, was retail, people visit stores, right? E-commerce was still like, yeah. People visit stores 4 to 5 times a year, apparel stores, and Zara is like 18 times a year. And how can everyone get there? Well, it's because if you don't buy it right then and there at Zara at the time, it is gone. So then and if you missed it, you're like, oh, darn. So you train your body to go, let's see what Zara has, right? That big business kind of technique is very applicable when you run out of stuff. Getting back into something is okay, as long as you have other stuff coming. And as long as you tell that narrative and you cultivate it. I've got clients who have these handwritten lists. Call me when this comes in. They have their own system. Some people pre-sell. I personally don't recommend that. The brand has to be like super reliable because stuff happens, production, this, that, but they take money. They take the money. And then it's whatever's, before it hits the floor, it's sold out. The whole revenue structure of a store can change if they can embrace this.
Interesting. Yeah, it's almost like the Target model of the brands that do special collections. They drop, you're in, you're out. I mean, I remember when Lilly Pulitzer hit Target and they crashed the Target site. They crashed it for forever.
This is a Target collab that just dropped. I stood outside and wait for them to open the door. It's Rachel Comey does Target. How cute is this?
Yeah, but people will do it. They'll wait for it. It's crazy.
Yes, they will. And I actually saw it walking by and I was like, when did Target get cooler clothes? Because Target does okay. And I was like, I have to go back. I have to train. The whole thing is train the brain, train the feet. Train the brain, train the feet to walk into your store. And that's a metaphor because it also could mean going into your site, right? So whether it's a store or just clicking on your site, it's because there's perpetual news. We call it freshness factor. Freshness drives sales, period.
Now, how do you, I think that's like, it's so important, obviously, that like you're driving the traffic into the store. Now, everybody knows holiday is easy, not easy, but great. It organically brings traffic in. People need to buy, people are shopping, people are excited. They're gifting, they're buying for themselves to wear outfits. But then you hit January and it's obviously, the January slump. Yeah, January, February, March, just not the best months. What do you recommend going into the new year? How can they set themselves up for success and still get that traffic in the store? Because I think that's really the important thing.
Well, great question. There's a couple of strategies. The first is please make sure you're capturing people's phone number for SMS or email. Now, email has pivoted because of the iOS 15 update. Maybe you can tell them about that. We won't spend too much time on that, but basically a lot of privacy around email. Get their email anyway, guys, just get it. And people are used to giving it out. And their phone number for SMS text. And the way to successfully launch SMS texting and selling is by providing them with useful information. Hey, we shipped your product, right? Start with real operational stuff. And then you'll build a rapport where it's like, it flips to selling, right? So back into that and build that trust that you're not going to blow up their phone. Good God. I mean,
we tested SMS. We've been testing SMS for a while, obviously, and we did both approaches, the bulk messaging, like send a blast to all your customers, and the one-on-one conversational. And I have to tell you, the revenue from conversational is so much stronger because it's personalized. The customer cares. They know you're talking to them. versus if it's like a bulk message, they're like, okay, well, yeah, you're having a sale. It's like an email into their cell phone. I mean, I think there's value to both for sure, but I think the most value we see is conversational and automated flows. Like, oh, you just bought something, like here's a coupon code, or you just signed up, here's a coupon code. And that's actually why we moved in that direction with our SMS tool for Shoptiques that we just launched. We did totally conversational because that's where the money's at. You need to personalize that communication.
Let's talk about personalization. And I have a strong opinion that bulk marketing texts are a no-no. So that's just me, but let's just talk about, let's touch on what you said, because it relates to how you're preparing. So you're getting their phone number, you're getting their email. Then I was going to say, now, hopefully there's a loyalty program. And if there isn't, make one up. Why? Really reward them for coming back in January and February, like blow their pants off. People love it. So I don't know, is it points? Is it a spa visit? Like bring them back, bring them back. So while they're in there, give them a coupon of the link that doesn't activate till January 15th. Okay, that's that. Then make sure now, right now, you're looking at what your merch flow is for January. You need new things. I know that sounds counterintuitive. You need new things. And that brings me to segmentation. You will forever have, and you showed the traffic there on new arrivals, you will forever have that. I got Christmas money and I want to spend it. And I want to see what's new. I'm going to pay full price. That's a segment. Then you have, I am forever only going to shop 40% off. January is my mecca. I'm the happiest I could ever be. I'm going to go in and buy a million things because it's 40, 50, 70% off, right? There's those people too. So now you're SMS communicating to two different people with two different links to see whatever it is you're talking about. You want to send the markdown stuff to the markdown crew, and you want to send the full price stuff to the gift card crew. And there's like a method to determine who that might be. And then you have this third category of people who are in your store this time of year who will not see you for a full year. And those are the gift people. Oh gosh, we miss you so much for 11 months. Come back. I have techniques to try to help with those because there are a lot of gift giving scenarios throughout the year. So what you want to do is find those infrequent visitors, go back, see if you can find them, see what they bought. Let's just assume that if someone buys a candle in November, I'm going to put them in a gift giving category. I just am. And then you say, fine, okay. What's going to be my segmented communication to them? Valentine's Day, of course. Teacher Appreciation Week, end of school gift giving to teachers. Birthdays, of course. Is it your personal trainer's birthday? Great. Think of this. So put your little thinking cap on. Think about gift giving opportunities that happen those 11 months. Here's your Veterans Day gift, whatever it is. There are a lot of Hallmark holidays that actually could be really opportunistic for people. And it's a great fun, and hostess gifts, of course. Summer hostess gifts all day, every day. Going to a barbecue, bring a candle. Going to someone's boat, bring a little boat bag with their initials on it. It's just endless. So, but the communication has to be right, and it has to match what you have in your inventory, and it has to match who you profile.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. And moving aside from those gifting people, you mentioned some other strategies just for, holiday and beyond and customers to get them buying. What other tips do you have for our boutiques?
Were you talking about in-store or online or both?
I guess both. I think majority, everybody obviously wants to grow online, but really money's money. So where it comes from, who really cares? We just want money. So how do we make more money?
Okay. Well, I think I covered a lot. Is there a specific, do you have something in mind, a particular area that you want me to talk about?
I think, I think we've definitely talked a lot about the merchandise and kind of getting that. Now, how can they set themselves up for success with aside, your merchandise aside, you have the inventory you have. What are some of the other strategies they can use with customers aside from, we talked a lot about how to profile a customer and target them with certain marketing. What are some other profiling things you can do with customers aside from marketing profiling to help drive sales, or some other tactics you can use with customers to help drive sales?
All right. Well, maybe this answers the question, but I want to just remind everyone that we all have too much on our plate. We all have a lot going on. Labor is short right now, and we're doing a million things. And I just want to reiterate, gathering that client's information to be a real solution to them in the future. So remember, in addition to always be sourcing, one thing you always, as owners, one thing you always want to be, it's, let me back up. You're an owner of a retail store. That means you are in perpetual whack-a-mole. There's a million problems every day. And you wake up every day like, yay, I love today. And I have my to-do list. And that thing just blows up by 11 o'clock. And then you never get to it. Please be diligent about having your day, your strategy and systems to deal with the regular retail challenges. And then have your short-term and long-term goals and never not work towards them. And those should always be on your to-do list. So what does that mean? Okay, you're about to head into holiday. Oh my God. Well, what am I doing for January, February, March? That's a short-term goal, right? And one of the things you're going to want to set time aside to do is, what's my markdown strategy? Where do I know today, I should know today where I'm going to end up with inventory in 6 weeks. That is something that is very easy to figure out if you're studying your turn, your past history. Don't include COVID, or maybe include COVID. You can come to those numbers, and then you say, all right, how do I stay out of the 70% off zone, right? What can I do today to buy into and mark down into that going kind of forward, right? So that is just that quiet time where you're looking at your reports and you want to have, and this is critical. Are you texting me? No. A proactive markdown plan.
Mm-hmm.
How most people do markdowns. Shit, it didn't sell. I got to mark it down. Reactive. No. We are taught when we're really building margin and freshness, get it out. You cannot have old stuff in the store. If it's not moving, mark it down and big, get it out, not 10 and then 20 and then 15. No, that's not the strategy we're taught. If it's not moving after, I don't know, X amount of time, I don't want to get into that time frame because it's different by category. Candles have a different turn than women's apparel, right? If it's not moving, 40% off, get it out. And then look, hopefully you have something new coming in. Retail is built on freshness. So the way to move and make space and not be overbought is to remove it, cut your losses. They say, take it out back and shoot it, but I hate that because and that makes me sad. But it is sort of an impactful way to say, like, sorry, you made a mistake, move on. You want to talk about carry forward, which is product that gets put in a Tupperware and get a bin and is brought forward year over year. Let's talk about that. Stop doing that. No mas.
I think as a consumer, like one of the most bummer things is to walk back into a store and see something next season that you saw last season and didn't engage with.
Let's talk about that. We are not talking about national retail chains that are in some may be in a tourist spot where new people are coming all of the time. Hey, if you're there, you might be able to get rid of it. Maybe, not with clothing, because people know, oh, that was so-and-so's line last year. I saw it on every other site known to mankind. So accepting apparel, accepting where there's true traffic, unique, summer over summer, ski chalet after ski chalet, those people, case by case, niche scenario. In general, in retail, you have your community. You have your people. They love you. They love how you curate your store. They don't want to see the same thing. You have to get it out. And my suggestion is it gets out this year before you pay taxes on it again. you're paying taxes on unsold inventory at each end of each year.
What
Every-
about like specialty gowns? And so we do have a few boutiques that, you know, specialize in like homecoming and wedding gowns and that kind of stuff. Do you recommend the same philosophy, or is it okay to keep that stock year over year?
I don't know that business so well.
Okay.
I mean, look, I would assume, observationally, that there are color palettes that are popular in that area and cuts and designs. You have dated stuff.
Yeah.
You've dated stuff.
Well, I want to thank you so much. This was a great conversation. I want to we have 10 minutes left, and I want to open up to questions if anybody has anything they want to ask us and myself about anything, or Christine. You guys can chat in or raise your hand, and we'd love to hear from you if you have any questions for us. Let's see. Okay. Well, I'll give everyone kind of a minute to think of a question. If you have one, please reach out. We're kind of excited to hear from you if you have anything you want to know. I guess my last question for you then, Christine, is, you know, obviously, you know, holiday is done. We're in holiday. We're moving forward. We know what we got to do. Is there any one thing we can do aside from merchandise this holiday season to have it be really strong? And I know you mentioned SMS, but is there anything else that you're seeing, you know, from all the boutiques that you're working with? Is there anything that you see as something potentially great for them?
I'm seeing a lot of great traffic. So let's just say, okay, you want to increase the traffic. I think that people are overwhelmed with choices. So authenticity is really key. Whatever communication you're doing to your clients, maybe you're doing an Instagram post, try to have a tone that fits your boutique, that fits your vision, that fits that clientele, that is really authentic and makes someone, it's called the norm effect by me. I invented that. It's from the Cheers show. You know, I have this neighborhood Target, as I mentioned, and I've never been ever greeted ever, literally ever. And actually statistics show that 65% of retail transactions are sales increase by 65% when someone's greeted. We are talking about small stores, but you know, you get busy, but you know what? Say hello, and then get them to be loyal and get them to be engaged. It's a small thing, but start now. Maybe they're new and you'll need them in January. Did we get a question?
We did get a couple. So first off, yes, I'm happy to provide contact information for Christine if you're looking for immediates. I think she does still have some, if I'm not mistaken. So we can definitely make that connection after this. And of course, if you have any other questions, happy to make that connection. And then just looking for merch wise for holiday. Great question. You know, we will continue to touch on it. And, you know, if you subscribe to the Lindsay Monday emails, you get it every single week. Here's exactly what I'm looking for. But this holiday, we're looking for a few things. So number one is obviously gifting, anything giftable. We're looking for home goods in particular, throws, pillows, vases, picture frames, candles, great candles, other giftable things. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Let's just stop right there. So I'm not in the home space, but if it were me, if it were my store, and I didn't go to Shop Object in New York, which just happened, trade show, and if I didn't go to New York Now, which also kind of just happened, that's okay. There, you would have found immediates there. Trust me, people have stuff. Let's say you didn't go. I would go to their website, look at the brands that showed, and call each and every one of them on the phone and be like, do you have stuff? And that's the legwork it takes. That's the always be sourcing, and do it for apparel. If you didn't go to Coterie, click on the brands that attended, click on the brands that you liked, call them up that you like, and say, do you have stuff?
Yeah, that's a great way to get some new brands and research, especially if you can't afford to go to the shows. I know I talk a lot about home and gifts, but I think, Other things that we tend to feature a lot in our gift guides are like sweaters, and things that are easy to gift from apparel, some dresses, but it's a little bit harder, when you get into sizing. Definitely not going to be a lot of denim, but sweaters and that kind of stuff. As we move out of gifting and into other lookbooks and themes, we're definitely going to have a lot of like what to wear guides, what to wear to the holiday parties, what to wear to, Thanksgiving with the family. Thanksgiving tends to be more casual. Holiday parties tend to be more fancy. Going to be looking for a lot of dresses. Some still kind of in the looser fit, or at least like an A-line kind of fit. We're not seeing like a lot of like really tight sheath dresses really popular right now. People are still kind of in that flowy kind of mood. But we're looking for pops of color. We're looking for sparkle. We're looking for 80s vibes still, because that's trending really hot on Shoptiques, which is funny. But yes, that's definitely what we're looking for. And then leather. Leather always does super well.
Let me jump in, because you have to be really careful. Don't delay, because people go shopping for gifts and always buy for themselves. So the way you merchandise the site, the way you merchandise a store, it's like, oh, here are candles. And by the way, here's this great sweater that's like one size fits all, kind of drapes in front. And they're like, oh, I need that. So it's your UPTs should be through the roof right now, because no one goes in, no one shopper is immune to that impulse purchase. They're like, oh, I have to get my teachers a gift. And this is so cute. I have to have it. So if you're not dual merchandising, meaning dual prioritizing, you could miss that opportunity. Mm-hmm. Also, the entire retail media landscape, every publication from the littlest to the biggest to CNBC is shop now, because you're not getting stuff closer to Christmas. It is like being drumbeated into everyone's head. So, all right, we're in October, but if you walk into the store, what does it look like right now? Typically, it would be like fall dressing, cute pumpkin picking, fall photography, foliage, stuff like that. Put in your brain a strategy for gifts as well. Pull it forward. Whether you have in-store signage, you have your sales kickoff in the morning, weekly goals. Guys, we're starting to bring gifting into our weekly goals. We want to sell this. Normally 85% of our sales would be this much dollar amount and this much from apparel. Guess what? We're going to still have the same dollar amount, but we want to ramp up that gift portion, because people are being told to buy early.
And I think that's actually a great segue into our next question, which is, I get this a lot, but around pricing. So, obviously on Shoptiques, we don't set the pricing. Each of our individual boutiques set pricing, and a lot of them have different philosophies when it comes to pricing, whether they double it or triple the wholesale cost. Do you have any advice, or can you speak at all about pricing and what you recommend?
Tons of advice.
That's a big question. It's a loaded one.
Big question. It's case by case. It's where else is it? Is the manufacturer setting the pricing? Don't take anything in your store that's less than 2.2. You're losing money. Don't even dedicate the space. Forget it. Remove it now. So let that be your lowest markup, right? And how you get there is a factor of so many things, right? Like, well, what's my neighbor's store charging for it? Sometimes you're out of control, or God forbid the brand has a direct to consumer site, then forget it. All bets are off. You're doing whatever they do. Or if it's in Bloomingdale's and they do a friends and family, you're screwed, right? So as an independent retailer, you have the beautiful thing of bringing in brands that are truly your own, that you can mark whatever, that you're not tied to a friends and family markdown or the perpetual markdown cycle of whatever. Find that quiet time and do that research. Is Amazon selling it? For how much? Because they're selling everything now, and that's okay. Is Bloomingdale's selling it? Where is it? What's the distribution? Find stuff you can mark up 3.0.
And then our last question here before we wrap up is just kind of around advertising, and what do you think about local print media? What other channels of advertising do you see bringing people in store right now? I can say from my end, and then I'd love to hear your thought on it. We Print media is always an option. It tends to be pricey, and it's good for in-store traffic, but that's pretty much it in my experience. We see a lot of great things with minimal SEO, but again, that can get really, really expensive when you're trying to boost yourself on Google, especially when you're competing with big brick and mortars. So whenever I think about advertising and marketing spend, it's like, you kind of have to work backwards. Like, what is the budget you want to spend? And how can we take that amount of money that you have and get the most out of it? Because if you only have $500 a month, you're not going to get a lot out of paying for ads on Google or Facebook or any digital channel. How much is that 500 going to get you in print? I don't, you got to work backwards from what's your budget, what's your goal, and then how do you get the most of it? That's in my experience.
When you say print, are you talking about postcards?
It just says print. I'm guessing, I think we could say postcards or in a like local magazine or a billboard, any sort of.
I can answer any way. So
yeah,
whether it's in a local magazine and a print ad or a postcard, which PS is back again and popular. So get a Canva account, create a postcard, free. Then now, okay, so to your point, oh, that's only for stores. No way. Ask them to bring it into the store, great. But guess what? Open a flow code account, get yourself a pretty little QR code. They're round, you can pick pretty colors, plop it on that in that print ad, and boom, you're driving traffic with a QR code, which everyone now has grown to love, to your website or to a coupon or whatever. You have their digital information, you get their email address. There's so much you can do once they're in your ecosystem. It could be, like I said, even your postcard on Canva or your ad could be like, scan this for 20% off between 10/11 and 12/11. Boom, traffic driver, sales driver. Or you can use it for the January timeline. It's really easy.
I think you made a good point there, which is the QR code. I think print media is most successful when you attach something like a QR code with an action item. It can't just be like an ad like, hey, look at my store. It has to have some sort of call to action, some sort of follow-up.
Yeah. So what we used to do back in the day is we would send out postcards and they'd have a code on the bottom and then we'd be like, bring this in. But that's not really going to happen anymore. You just flash it with your phone and then there's a way to engage.
Awesome. Well, I think that is just about up for time for us. I want to thank you again, Christine. Thank you so much for your time and thoughtfulness. We will send out a recording of this for anyone who joined late. We'll also, be sending out contact info. So if anybody wants a follow-up meeting or to touch base one-on-one, we're always here for you.
So my Instagram for like thoughts and strategies is, that's my alarm, EURP loves the letter U. And there's a lot of nuggets of information there that reiterate what I said, or might inspire a thought process that they can pose to you, Lindsay, because you're a treasure trove of guidance.
Thank you. Well, thank you again. And everybody have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. See you all soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.